Welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists, an occasionally smart, always irreverent look at sports in St. Louis and beyond. And now, your St. Louis Sportists.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the St. Louis Sportists podcast. We've got a full house tonight. I am joined by Joe Sperlin from Parts Unknown.
That's right. Glad to be here for as long as I can be.
Doug Lansdowne.
Coming from wet West Plains after rain for the first time in 7 weeks.
Yeah, I asked him if he went out and stood like Andy Dufresne in the rain, because congratulations on that. Tom Mathis back from assignment. How are you, sir?
Good. I've tied up my personal loose ends, and I am good to go.
That is fantastic. And here in the Dome, it is Keith Farrell.
Cheers. Dome 2.0. Great to be here.
In this edition, the Cardinal roller coaster continues, moving their act to South Florida. MLB ponders new divisions and changes TV deals. Mizzou's quarterback situation may carry into Week 1, and City goes offline in the industrial park. The St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings, and we are coming to you from the Local House Bistro Studios. With that, quick hits. Joe Sperlin, what do you have?
You know, the start of college football, our friends there now in Conference USA, Middle Tennessee, they had a newly appointed GM cut $668,000 to go to NIL money. And they said they cut uniforms and helmets. And I'm sitting there thinking, that's a lot. Well, as I looked into it, they had a 3-year plan, and they cut 2 uniforms. So now they only have 1 uniform and 4 helmets. They used to wear 6 helmets. So now they only have 1 color of game uniform, a practice helmet, and a game helmet. It saved them almost $500,000 in helmets alone and $84,000 in uniform costs. That's a lot of helmets.
Can you imagine what Oregon has on that line item?
I was thinking, because helmets now cost, I'm going to say, those good college helmets, at least $400 a pop.
Wow. And then what about some of those custom numbers that they have out at Oregon? You got to think those are pushing 1,000. I mean, with all of the reflective sparkles and goofy stuff.
But yeah, I mean, there's hand-painted, all that other stuff. There's no telling.
Yeah. Yikes. Doug Lansdowne, what do you have?
Going down that college football trail, I was reading a good story about the coach at Northern Illinois. He kind of went on a little rant, and said that his kids come to play football. He said, if you're coming for money, don't even come to college, just go get a damn job. And then they talked about what he started doing 2 years ago in his practices. 2 to 3 days a week, the starters practice for a little bit, and then they're done, and then the guys that are the backups get extra practice and extra reps, because he said he knows he's going to lose a handful of the starters every year. And that's the reason his second team steps up, and that's the reason they've had that success.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. If you expect to go through a college football season without an injury, that's a little naive at this point. Let's see, Tom Mathis, what do you have?
I'll continue the college football theme. Thankfully, this is the last pod before college football starts. Not a whole lot of games this weekend, but there are a couple big ones. We got Iowa State and Kansas State going all the way over to Ireland to start the Big 12 season. And then we got Fresno State and Kansas. Go Bulldogs.
Spoken like a lifelong Mizzou fan. Yeah, that's week 0. Any releases coming, Blue Horseshoe?
We may have one for last call.
All right, something to look forward to. Keith Farrell.
Speaking of college football starting, I'm just going to change gears just a little bit. The Blues made a quiet signing with Milan Lucic. 6'3", 243. Curious signing. But he's coming off a year of going through the league substance abuse program. I kind of like the move. It's a low risk, high reward.
Exactly.
Blues tend to have a knack for bringing in these veteran players and pushing the current roster. And I think he just might find a spot on that third or fourth line if he plays well. I mean, he's got to be well conditioned. He's got to have his head right, and he's got something to prove. Good move.
Got a lot to prove. Yeah. And you're right. That's the kind of guy that, if you get 10 goals out of him, it's a genius move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And him and Montgomery have a good relationship.
Yeah. Good call.
By the way, there was a great article on Jim Montgomery. Speaking of substance abuse, Jim was very candid about his issues with alcohol and the fact he doesn't drink, and the role it played in him leaving Dallas, and the triumphant comeback he's had, which has been tremendous. So it was a really good article if you get a chance in the Post. And I'm going to take us back to college football. Ed Orgeron, I should say Ed Orgeron, has said that he is, and I quote, getting the itch to come back. Now you're saying, well, gee, why has he been out? Well, that's because LSU paid him lots of money to go away. So he was actually, I think when he left his last game, he's like, I'm headed to the beach. So Ed is most likely tanned, rested, and ready. Ed always had a good tan.
Yeah, he did.
The speculation I have heard is that he will not immediately walk into a power conference job. They think that he would be a coordinator, or that he would, if he did want a head coaching job, he would be in, one of the lower conferences. They have talked about Miami, given, of course, his time there and, some of the places he's been. It seems like every place he's been, even good old Ole Miss, he's left on some fairly good terms. So I think college football is better with Ed around. We'll see.
Him and Gruden need to get at the same school.
That's right.
And send the Netflix cameras in.
Yeah.
Is getting the itch, is that a code for I'm broke, I don't have any money left, I need a job?
He burned through the $19 million or whatever they gave him to go away. He would be capable of that too.
There's no short fun following that around.
Yeah. One of my favorite Ed Orgeron stories, and I'll make it quick, is they said that it was when they were in the Wild Wings Bowl, and the whole LSU team went, and for the first and only time in the history of Buffalo Wild Wings, that restaurant ran out of wings. The entire LSU team ate them out of wings, and they said that one of the major offenders was Ed Orgeron. And they said when asked about it, Ed would only say, I like wings. So back here with things we need to finish up. The St. Louis Cardinals, as we record this, are trailing the I almost called them the Florida Marlins again. The Miami Marlins, 5-2 in the bottom of the eighth with 2 on, 1 out. And they have continued their they're hovering around mediocrity, currently sitting at 63 and 64, only 16 and a half behind Milwaukee, and 5 games out of the wild card. Tom Mathis, what do we make of this team?
I still don't know. I mean, even, giving these young kids some runway, I'm still not sold on a lot of them. And, I've been a Gorman guy, but at this point, I think we package Gorman and Newt and, a bag of balls and just trade them to somebody for a prospect or two. I don't know. I'm just at a loss for them, really.
Doug, they were talking today on some of the media up here about how they have to thin out some of the left-handed batters because guess what? J.J. Weatherholt's coming, and he's another left-handed batter.
Yeah, you've got to get rid of a couple of those guys like Tom was saying. I wonder, have they talked about maybe trading some of that catching depth? I know they've got, some highly ranked catchers, so...
It would make sense. There was someone said in the Derek Gould chat this week, hey, what about trading Pozo and Pages? And they said, well, gee, they don't really have a very high trade value, which I think says something when you're talking about your 2 quote unquote starting catchers.
You watch that Yankee series. I mean, they were walking down to second base.
It was
They were signing autographs on the way to second base. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about those two. I was talking about some of those younger catchers that are supposed to be highly ranked.
So you were in the Jimmy Crooks and Leo Bernal and those guys.
Yeah, on the Ronnie or whatever the guy's name is. Yeah.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that the biggest takeaway that I've heard the last couple of weeks is that we have overvalued our farm system. And you're seeing that at play right now. So the highly touted catching prospects that we have, I can only say they're overvalued, highly touted catching prospects. Right now, say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, it's like their trade value peaks at AA. Keith, we may not have a 20 home run hitter on this team. You believe that? Burleson's like at 15. And then you watch other games like and you see people with 40 and 30.
So I took some notes today, and one of the things that's going on at Busch Stadium in the next couple of weeks is going to be an 80s night theme, and you're seeing all sorts of commercial over TV about the 82 Cardinals coming in. Well, the 82 Cardinals had 67 home runs as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They struck out, I believe, 800, high 800, low 900. This team is on, I think, already has like 1,300 strikeouts. And they're on pace to have the same amount of runs. And this team, they lack power. They lack creativity. They just can't score runs. That's too bad.
Not only can they not score runs, but Tom Mathis, since the 30th of May, the starting pitchers ERA, since the 30th of May, Sonny Gray 4.48, McGreevy 4.96, Liberator 5.46, Blante 5.78, which I'm sure has gone up. Miles Michaelis is knocking on the door of 6 at 5.88, and then Eric Fetty had a glorious 7.32 before we jettisoned him.
That would have been 8 if they hadn't traded him.
Oh, it was rising
quickly.
It was. So we can't pitch and we can't hit, Tom. It's kind of a miracle that we're this close to 500.
And like my problem with them is like Liberator and Blante. They're going into this season, their career highs were 120 innings pitched. Now they're going to expect them to do 170, 180. That's a big jump for young pitchers who haven't done it before. And like I'll use tonight or even Monday night as examples. Liberator he went 5 good innings. He had the lead. He hadn't pitched good the last few times out. Get him out after 5. Bring somebody else in. Save that arm for a few more pitchers.
Yeah.
But they put him back out there. They did the same thing with Blante tonight, even though he wasn't very good. But still, that's where you got to try to save him. You got 25 guys in the bullpen. Just let them pick up that extra inning. I just don't understand that.
Can I blow you away with a stat that I just kind of, stumbled over today? The Cardinals lead the league in one kind of a big stat. It's a pleasant stat to look at. Complete game shutouts. The Cardinals lead the league in complete game shutouts with 2. Okay. So I'm like, well, I went around the league. Guess how many complete game shutouts there are around the league?
I'm going to say total in Major League Baseball, 7.
Close. 10.
Wow.
10. The Reds and the Cardinals have 2 of those.
Wow.
Complete game shutouts.
Wow. And Doug, what did Tudor have in 85? Like 11? 12?
Yeah,
something
11.
Like that?
Yeah. And doesn't Fetty have one of those shutouts?
Yes, he does.
Against the White Sox.
Against the White Sox.
So Fetty and Sonny Gray have both of the complete game shutouts. I'm like, is that right? They're first in something?
Oh, my
gosh.
Joe Sperlin, MLB correspondent at large, what are you seeing around the league?
Well, I hate to bring this up, but the Royals are only 2.5 games out of the wild card.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I also love seeing how many different groups come up with the Major League Baseball realignment option.
Everywhere
I
you
guess
look, there's a different one.
I did not know they have already declared that Charlotte and Portland had a expansion team.
Well, I've seen Nashville a lot.
Nashville, yeah.
Yeah, I missed
And
that
Salt Lake.
announcement.
Portland seems like
Yeah.
a lock, though. Everyone has Portland. So,
Yeah.
but yes, the official quote from Rob Manfred in an interview was, I think if we expand, which is allegedly going to be part of the CBA agreement here, it provides an opportunity for us to geographically realign. And with that, anyone who had a keyboard started like playing Reimagine the Division. And for the Cardinals, I have seen some that are really fun and good and others that are just like cringe inducing.
Will they continue? Are they still saying they're going to do interleague? I mean, so I'm not understanding why all the realignment and divisions and all that other.
Well, Manfred said one of his goals was to basically eliminate the leagues. Remember, he got rid of the league president. Got rid of the league presidents and everything, and so I think he wants it to just be like football, where basically the divisions only really matter for playoffs. And again, I have stated my opinion on Mr. Manfred many times, so I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
One of the things that Derek Gould said that I thought was somewhat interesting, Doug, was much the way the hockey has the healthy scratches, that they thought they might go to like a 30-man roster for major league teams, but carry, 26 people for the game. So 4 guys are sitting in the press box eating nachos, and it could be the previous day's starter. That would make sense to be a healthy scratch. And so the teams the players get that many more roster spots, which are, again, people drawing at least the minimum salary.
And so your starting pitchers would go 3 1/3. That's all they'd ever pitch.
Very
good point.
I was going to say the same thing.
And I want to know,
playoff game.
Yeah. I want to know who the hell wants to go to Portland in April and watch a baseball game.
Well, our buddy Khaled said that they will have to have a dome stadium out there.
Well, yeah, they will.
There is no way that works in Portland without a dome of some sort. So,
and those are coming cheap. Those dome stadiums.
Yeah. And you'll have to fight through the protesters out there, too.
That's true, too. Hope the stadium's not on fire. All right, I'll cut that out. With that, before I get us in further trouble, it is time to tie up some loose ends. The website Awful Announcing has ranked all of the announcing teams in Major League Baseball. Number 1, the Padres. I had to look up who the Padres announcers were, and I've already forgotten.
Number 2, Dan Arcelio and Mark Grant.
Oh, nice. Good call.
There you go.
Well done, Tom Mathis. Number 2 is the New York Mets, which, my gosh, is a comedy show with Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez. And then number 3 is the one that I predicted would be number 1, which is the San Francisco Giants. Those guys are a pleasure to listen to. Kruko, John Miller still working. Good stuff. At the bottom, you have the A's 30, Rockies 28, A's 30, Rockies 29, Marlins 28. The St. Louis Baseball Cardinals booth of Chip. Thank you. Skip would be a lot more entertaining, probably. I love Skip.
Even now.
Yeah, exactly. Come in 19th. Tom, is that too high, too low, or about right?
I thought it was too high, but then I looked at everybody below them, and it's just about right. There's some broadcasting teams below them that I just can't watch, the Rockies included. There's just some bad teams out there. And the thing about Chip is he tries to be Skip or Harry. The red glasses, trying to be funny about everything. He just tries too hard, and he just wears on you.
He tries too hard, and Doug, I've described him as sounding like someone that would be a generic announcer in a video game,
Yeah, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt when he first came back and stuff, but he's hard to listen to. Yeah. He tries to put, everything's got to be funny.
What I find charming with Chip, they do some off-the-cuff interviews with him, and he's enlightening. He knows his baseball, and when he goes into that booth, he turns into another personality.
Yeah.
And, I don't care if the fans from Effingham catches that ball. It doesn't. In fact, that bothers me. All right. So I'm just going to tell you. So that's the stuff that really kind of takes it away from me. Like he tries a little bit too hard, and it's obvious.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, to Keith's colorfully made point, if you hear him on 101 in the morning, he's a different guy.
Yeah, he really is, and it just goes back to trying too hard. He just tries to be funny, and he really tries to be Skip or Harry, and that be yourself. That's all I have. Be yourself. Be a good announcer. You're not going to be your dad or your grandpa.
No, and Skip, I still quote one of my favorite. Skip was so effortlessly funny. The exact opposite.
He was.
And one of my favorite lines that I still quote was back when the Braves were terrible and they would get down by like 6 runs in the second inning. He would say, "As long as you promise to patronize our sponsors, you have my permission to go walk the dog."
He was Skip was one of my favorites.
Yeah, fantastic. Loose end number 2, I saw this and I threw my arms in the air, but then I considered who was doing it. Auburn has decided just overnight that they have 7 more national championships than they did the day before. They just went back and looked through history and found a bunch of national championships, apparently, although the one that I do not understand, 1958, LSU ends up 11-0. This was the Billy Cannon year, number 1. Auburn, number 4, their record is 9-0-1. LSU's number 1 in the AP, the UPI, and the coaches poll, but somehow they're claiming a national championship for 1958. Doug Lansdowne, what in the heck is going on at Auburn?
They've just got the little brother syndrome. They always will have. So,
wow.
I think that's the only way you can compare it.
Yeah, and I do know, to I guess be fair and balanced, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Tom, have some that are kind of a dubious ilk, you might say.
Yeah, anything probably even into the 80s is kind of dubious. So who knows what was going in some of those back rooms. So I take it all with a grain of salt, really.
Yeah, and they did, of course, claim the one from 2004 when UCLA or USC was banned. So they immediately said, "Hey, are we national champions?" And the NCAA kind of said, "No."
Yeah, they're just seeing who's paying attention. That was just a ballroom discussion between the sports information director and
boosters. Boosters had to be involved.
Yeah, there's probably this AM radio station that had a bunch of boosters and whoever in that room, and they came up with this.
Yeah. Quick hit number 3, just when you thought Major League Baseball on TV couldn't get more confusing, Apple is getting out of baseball. So NBC and Peacock are picking up the Friday games and Sunday night baseball, as well as the wild card games that ESPN dropped. ESPN is getting ready to launch their app for $40 a month. That was announced today. $40 a month to get all of your NFL and apparently some MLB too. So basically, how many subscriptions are we going to have to watch baseball here, Tom?
That's going to be the question, because, if they get the MLB TV package and throw it into that $40, it begins to get a little worthwhile. If they package everything underneath there, and then you're going to have the NFL too, that doesn't matter to me, but, other people are going to buy it. And how long until the NHL gets in there?
Excellent point. Oh, yeah. And, they say that they are literally wanting to be the one app for the sports fan. So,
yeah.
In other words, world domination. I can't wait for the antitrust stuff to come up.
I've also heard where Fox, they're coming out with the streaming service, and they say you can buy them both, bundle them both together for a discount. So that's really going to be interesting.
I don't understand how that happens, but my goodness. Doug Lansdowne in loose end number 4. Old friend Chase Daniel of the University of Missouri-Columbia is going to work as an analyst doing college and pro. So here's a guy who we looked up how many passes he threw in the NFL. And he goes from being a backup quarterback for his whole life to commentating.
Yeah, there's very few people that have had a better gig than he has once he left college. But he has had a sweet gig the whole time.
Yeah, throwing. Didn't we figure out? I think we did this off camera one night. We figured up how many dollars per pass he made.
Yes,
and it was elevated.
Well,
loose end number 5 finally. Oh, go ahead.
I can tell you from experience. Now, I didn't play in the NFL, but you learn a lot in college, and I'm sure from the pros, by standing on the sideline and watching. I got to do that for 2 years at Missouri Southern. So, and I learned a lot running scout teams, and I could see how he's probably going to be really good at it.
And one of the greatest batting coaches in the history of the world was Charlie Lau, who was a lifetime, 250 hitter, something like that. So, yeah, go figure.
That might be stretching it.
Joe Sperlin, the Little League World Series ends on Sunday. What are your thoughts on the Little League World Series this year, in addition to what we heard last week?
Okay. I have spent some time watching the Little League World Series because amazingly, after our podcast, Little League World Series announced they do not promote gambling on Little League World Series games, which to me might be one of the crazier things I've ever heard because, number one, I'm not for sure how you even set a betting line on 11 and 12-year-olds. I don't know if you have
They can be bought with
records.
Skittles and Snickers bars.
I don't know. So I am not going to announce it right now, but if you bet $100 on the underdog each one of these Little League World Series games, you would be ahead right now. And that's all I'm going to say. Now, I've watched them, and you're right. Hey, I don't watch very much of it because when I don't agree with it, I turn the channel. Just like I said, I'd rather watch something else. But as I have watched it, Ron, we talked about this last week. There seems to be a lot of change up and breaking balls for 11 and 12-year-old kids. I worry about the pressure on those kids. I worry about, do they all of a sudden at 11 and 12-year-olds think they're going to be professional ball players and that's all they do and play one sport? And they have proven that the repetitive motion of one sport at that age group is not good. But the thing that cracked me up the most was the advertising they have on the back wall, as they do at all major league parks. They had Smucker's Uncrustables as a sponsor.
Hey, that's excellent.
That's knowing your target
for
market
11 and
right
12-year-olds, excellent. Because I'm sitting there thinking, I remember that kid in the cafeteria, the kid that wouldn't eat his crust from his bread. So I looked that up. Uncrustables, $1 billion of sales revenue. B as in a billion. So I will keep us updated on our Little League World Series.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Are you, since you're watching, is that going to make you run over to your local grocery store and buy some Crustables or whatever?
Uncrustables, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did not, but I did make a sandwich and I took the crust off, and it is enjoyable.
And to close out this subject, Tom, on the gambling, we said, could you imagine if you're at, let's say you get hired at William Hill and you think, wow, I'm going to be setting odds for the NFL. And they're like, okay, kid, your first job is the Little League World Series.
Yeah, that's a no-win proposition right there.
And exactly. You're like, okay, well, gee, so much for my statistics degree. And that wraps up our loose ends. This is where we remind you the St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings. You'll hear a new message from Sandra here as soon as I get through telling you about the Local House Bistro. We are coming to you from the Local House Bistro studio. They are our studio sponsor, and we are about to hit peak fantasy football draft season. And again, if you're looking for a place to hold your fantasy draft, that's where our league is going to hold the draft. They've got the game room that you can reserve. They've got the dining room space. They've got space in the bar. You get great food. You get great drinks. They've got Wi-Fi. It's everything you need for a successful and fun fantasy football draft. And they've also got the new dartboards, the larger TVs at the bar, which are just fantastic. And so come on in and check out, Keith, the slot machines.
I'm going to have to go back there and get my money back.
Okay. Well, that's it. Never chase money, folks. Oh, and by the way, if you have a gambling problem, please call. No, I don't think we don't have to do that one yet. We don't have to do that. The menu at the bistro is amazing. Steaks, fish, great selection of appetizers, burgers, pizza, lots of apps, and a really fun group of people that you'll get to hang out with. Tim, Holly, Whitney, Darian, and Dylan at 16524 Manchester Road. Eat local, drink local, and love local. It's the Local House Bistro.
At First Coast Steel Buildings, we stand out by combining cutting-edge engineering with a family-first approach to customer service. Every building is custom designed, ensuring a perfect fit for your location and purpose, while our galvanized steel guarantees durability and resilience. Contact Jason and his team at 912-314-4848 or visit their website at firstcoaststeel.com. From fun to practical to industrial, First Coast will provide a custom solution to any building need. From fun projects like a backyard bar or she shed to an industrial storage unit for your business, First Coast has you covered. Visit their website at stcoaststeel.com or give them a call at 912-314-4848. Discounts
we are
for military
back
and first responders.
On the St. Louis Sportists podcast, I am joined by Joe Sperlin, Doug Lansdowne, Tom Mathis, and Keith Farrell. My name is Ron Cook. And let's talk a little football here. Doug, Jackson Dart, the rookie for the New York Giants. There's talk that he may be ready to go right now, even though they've got Russell Wilson in there.
He has looked really good. You know, the first game, it's like, oh, well, he's playing against the second and third stringers, and it's all vanilla. He still lit them up. You know, it's still professional football. There's a lot of those cats trying to find a job, you know. And then game 2, he was even better. And it was like, well, he played against the better defense, and he, Lane Kiffin said he was the real deal. He's ready to start when he gets there. So we will see. He's got some targets, and he's got a lot to offer. I don't know. You know, Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson, and
yeah,
I don't know if you ever want to play Jameis Winston. Maybe on a Thursday night when it snows. So
you're gonna draft Russell Wilson this year? No one's drafting Russell Wilson this
nobody's
year.
drafting Russell Wilson.
No. If someone does, everyone will just sit there quietly.
You might hear a chuckle.
Keith and I had that game on one of the screens here in the Thunderdome, and the thing that I noticed about Dart was, man, he was making some good throws.
And poised. I mean, the guy sits back in the pocket and throws the ball and hits his target. That's all you want out of a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You know, keep it simple.
Tom Mathis, quarterback battle number 2. Coach Drinkwitz says he might not name a starter until right before game 1. What do you make of this battle royal going on in Como to start for the Tigers?
I just wondering if it's due to the money that Prabula, is that how you say it?
Prabula, yes.
Prabula, if the $1 million is getting in NIL, if that's contributing to the decision. You know, you just have to wonder. That's a lot of money. So you have to wonder if that plays a factor in it. I'd really like to see Sam Horn get the chance just because he's got the better arm. I just want to see him throw. That's really what I want to see.
Well, and when you say that, I start to think, wow, are they being like the Cardinals and playing contracts over who the better player is? Looking at you, Miles Michaelis.
Yes, I thought the same. That was the same thought I had.
Trevor Lawrence. People down there are saying that if he doesn't take a big step forward, they might look at drafting another quarterback. Doug, is it too early to give up on him, or have we? Is he, to quote Dennis Green, is he who we thought he? To paraphrase Dennis Green, is he who we thought he was?
I think he's going to have every chance to succeed this year, and I agree with him. If he can't make a go of it this year, I mean, Liam Cohen has proven that he can coach quarterbacks, and he's got weapons. And Cohen's his offense flourishes with the slot receiver, and there's your Heisman Trophy Travis Hunter playing slot. So, I mean, yeah, I would say if he doesn't do something this year, that you got to look at something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. That he's been shell-shocked. I mean, does he have a line this year? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that, but I think he's a capable quarterback, and I think he's shown that he can take it, but there's only so many hits he can take at.
Right.
Ask Sam Bradford. And that's something that we're going to have to, it's a real thing with him. And he's been absolutely staring at stars too many times in his career. And maybe a change of scenery is good for him, but I think he really likes Jacksonville. And, it's too bad that they're putting this pressure on him at this stage of the game. He hears that noise.
Of course.
That's just too bad.
Of course.
That's a good point. Really good point.
Yeah, and let's face it, one of those hits that he missed a lot of time on was one of the more notable cheap shots in NFL games in recent years. Because I do believe, someone said seeing stars. I think he had the stars and birds going around his head after he was in a slide, and a guy basically lowered his head and committed what would have been a personal foul after he was already on the ground.
The only person that was got more stars and birds was Wile E. Coyote. He get thumped on the head with that anvil.
Pretty much. So, Doug, let's jump over to the world of golf. And where is what's up with the PGA this weekend?
Tour Championship weekend. The top 30 guys are there. And at least they've gone back to, you don't get, Scotty started with a 2-stroke lead last year, and the next guy was 8 under. Scotty was 10, next guy was 8, and then they go to 6 and 4, and he won it. And he even said, I don't feel like I won and stuff, but they can't quite get their playoff system right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if you, I heard one guy say, okay, the top 70 guys make the playoffs. You all have to play in the first event, and the guys that finish in the top 50, regardless of how many points you've made, then those on the top 50 go to the next round. And then the guys that finish in the top 30 go to the final one. So, but I mean, that may be part of what Tiger's got going on this competition changes and stuff like that. And I don't know. They've got, major changes. They're going back to Doral down in Miami, which was the mainstay. That was always the one big tournament before you went to Augusta. And, they all got their feelings hurt when Trump bought the place, and so they went away from them, but now they're going back to there. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. He says he's got, major changes coming. And I like the guy that's taken over for, they thought he was going to take Goodell's spot, and he's taken over the PGA Tour. And I like what he said. He goes, it's not that hard. You get the right people out there, the right product out there, and get it where people can see it, and they'll spend money.
Doug, was golf broken before Live, or was it breaking before Live? What's your assessment on that?
I thought that they definitely need to make some changes, and I think Live woke them up and rattled the cage a little bit. But I don't like these signature events where only the top 70 get in and there's no cut or anything like that, because, it just gets where it's going to be the same 70 guys every time. So,
well, the other thing too, if you look at that live tour, those guys are guaranteed money. You know, PGA brings the drama. That's what I see in that, and I just don't see live bringing anything other than decent players
and a lot of money.
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money. Tom, would you say you're watching more golf, less golf, or how is your golf consumption now compared to recent years?
I haven't been watching as much. It's a combination of, working every weekend realistically, and and then the non-signature events where you don't have the top 30 golfers. They're boring. I mean, you don't know half the guys out there in the field, so they're rough to watch. I mean, one thing I've always wanted to do is go up to Iowa and go see the John Deere Classic. But now I watch that tournament and I'm like, I'm not going to drive up there for that.
No.
But
no.
Tom, you bring up a good point. I mean, golf is a boring sport to watch. It just is.
Sorry, Doug.
Tiger Woods, when you look at what he brought some flair to the game because of the long ball. He brought some flair to the game because after he drains a 50-foot putt, he is fired up and the crowd is going nuts. There's no drama. It's just not there. Every player is vanilla. And I'm not saying, start a fight on the course or anything like that, but there's got to be an element to attract viewership, or there's not going to anyone that's going to watch the sport anymore.
Yeah. One thing that they used to do that I really liked was the match play tournaments, and they've got away from those. And those were, those were challenging to these guys. And maybe that's why they got away from them. But maybe that's what they do for the Tour Championship is make the last couple of tournaments match play and, just make it a Ryder Cup type event.
To kind of put a ribbon on our golf conversation here, Doug, we did see the big article about Tiger making changes, or Tiger kind of spearheading the changes. Do you know a timeline for when he might do that?
No, it's all next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Manford needs to get involved with golf and have them drink a beer hole or something like that.
Well, the one thing I saw was that next year
they'll start off with a runner on second. I'm sorry, Tom.
It might be more. Next year's tournaments are already pretty much locked in, so it might be 2027 for the changes they're looking at.
Yeah, Spur, are you back?
I'd just like to say about the Mizzou quarterback situation. I think it's a great idea for him to not announce the starting quarterback. Now, I don't think he needs to go crazy like Hugh Freeze and say, we got 3 guys I'm going to play and everybody's going to take turns making a call. But I wouldn't announce who the starting quarterback is either. But I will say this. If you believed in Sam Horn, I don't know why you bring in these quarterbacks this year and last year if you thought Sam Horn was the guy. Now, may be wrong on that, and you want competition, and you need 2 quarterbacks in nowadays game. But if Sam Horn was the guy, then you would have said that a long time ago. But Drink is his own guy, as we all know.
He is indeed. And finally, on Saturday night in Chicago, in an industrial park, St. Louis City lost 3-2 to the Chicago Fire. Middling Eastern Conference team, the St. Louis City SC, currently sitting at 5-15-6, good for 26 points, 3 points behind Sporting Kansas, and a 5-point lead over last place L.A. They did send Silva to Israel. I'm not kidding.
It's interesting.
The Israeli team. Do you know they had an Israeli soccer league, Tom?
I did not. Is that a demotion going from MLS in the United States to Israel?
I had heard some speculation that he might not have been the best dude in the clubhouse. He comes in, he's highly paid, he underperforms, and then he made 2 stupid defensive lapses on Saturday night, and for that, we send you to a war zone. We send you to a war zone.
Is it just me, or do they have a lot of these guys who aren't the best guys?
Tom, I agree with you because we've heard several instances of people that go all the way back to Big Sam,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was probably the best player on the team, arguably, and they shipped him. I don't think was it to the Middle East? I'm not.
No. I think he's still in North America.
But
we got some news for you, Mr.
Lutz is, yeah.
You're going to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Gaza, Ukraine.
So he went from Atlanta to St. Louis to,
what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, the transfer window does open up an international spot for us.
Yeah, it's going to give Lutz some flexibility. Just a couple of takeaways on that game. They played well enough to win. And I think the fans have been conditioned to kind of accept the way they lose now, since they've done it all year, losing in the last 30 minutes of the game.
Oh, the last 15.
15 minutes of the game. And it's, listen, and that is literally, that is your head in the game. And there's just way too much of that stuff going on. I think we lead the league by a long shot in goals in the last 15 minutes of the game.
We by a wide margin in the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and 5 minutes. We lead the league in goals surrendered.
And I know soccer is not the most. You're
going to rip on another sport to watch, aren't you?
Well, I was just going to say soccer. When I watched that game on Saturday, I think I had a few choice words to go along with a few drinks.
You were sitting right there, yes.
When you miss the net by 20 or 30 feet on a shot, wide or high, to me it's kind of like striking out with the bases loaded. The other team
looking.
Yeah. You're giving the team the other possession. Just your head is just not in the game. It's really hard if you're in the game. If your head is in the game, it's really hard to miss a shot by 30 feet. It really is.
So this upcoming week, they go to the North and the West to play Vancouver on Saturday night, 8:30 kickoff here in St. Louis. Vancouver is third in the Western Conference, 13 wins, 6 losses, 7 draws. And the game is on turf, which we traditionally haven't done as well on turf. But then again, that could be with the teams we play on turf.
This is the type of game that they'll win.
Oh, yeah. By 2 goals.
Not goals.
No. So, with that, we have reached the last call, brought to you by the Local House Bistro. Joe Sperlin has had to step off for a second. We don't know if he's assisting a damsel in distress or, who knows what Joe has going right now. But, Doug, let's start with you.
According to TrackMan, the Ravens have found their kicker. Tyler Loop hit 5 out of 6 fairways in the last game, with 2 of the drives being over 50 yards.
Oh, my.
So they have found their kicker.
And it's funny you mentioned kicking, which I didn't get to this, but if you see, there was an article in the great sports publication, the Wall Street Journal, yesterday. Kickoff of touchbacks come out to the 35 this year.
Yep.
Jeez. And but they've got to land in that landing zone. So apparently, certain kickers are planning to kick these knuckleballs that are going to, reminiscent of, if you remember, the Super Bowl between the 49ers and the Bengals, when they were just bouncing the ball around and the Bengals couldn't field it to save their life. Because the rule is different in the NFL than the other one, and the covering team can go the second the foot hits the ball. So basically, that guy can be trying to field the ball and look up and see 4 guys getting ready to pin him inside the 15. Mr. Mathis.
So I've changed my last call due to Doug's comment earlier about the Cardinal catching. Looking at their prospects, their top 6 prospects, 1 and 2 are their last 2 first-round draft picks. After that, 3 of the top 6 are catchers.
Ooh.
And that doesn't even include what we have here.
Yeah.
Ivan Herrera, I heard that he told Jimmy Hayes that he wants to return to catching next year. He wants that opportunity. Yeah. So,
Sure,
so that's going to be a pretty packed catcher's room before too long. And that's not even, Pajes and Pozo, I don't know what you do with them. Like you said, they have no trade value, so I guess you release them. But again, we have a lot of redundancy on the roster.
Yeah, and let's face it, Pajes was hovering just below the Mendoza line before he had a little run. He went like 13 for his last 26 at one point, I saw. So that's a way to fight out being under the Mendoza line.
And they talk about that he's a good catcher, but he has so many pass balls and so many that he just misses. And I don't know if it's because he's trying to frame. I heard somebody talking about that. Maybe he's trying to frame and just missing them. So, but
yeah,
you can't go forward with those two.
No, and I forget if it seemed like it may have been Gould that was saying his strength is in his preparation of game plan, and that's what the pitchers love is how prepared he has them. Like when he goes out there, but yeah, defensively, you're right. He's not throwing people out, and his pass balls and blocking of wild pitches is ugly.
The other team's pitchers like pitching to him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do.
Especially if it's a breaking ball down and away, because he'll chase that damn near every time. Mr. Farrell?
Well, I'm a sucker for a good story. And I saw this come across the feed that the Bears backup quarterback, Tyson Bagent, signed a 2-year, $10 million extension.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a little emotional at his press conference because he claimed that it's going to help his family out so much. And his dad did not have any running water until he's in high school.
Ooh.
And so I want to know a little bit more about this story. Well, first of all, he's in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So then those things start playing in your head, like, well, where the heck did he live in West Virginia where he didn't have any running water? And then a story came across that his dad was an arm wrestling champion. And I'm like, you're in West Virginia and you're a world arm wrestling champion. So I guess Tyson is going to take his money and just redo the plumbing in his little shack in West Virginia. I don't know.
There'll be the phone call, Dad. You don't have to arm wrestle ever again.
Dad, put the weights
exactly. Yeah. Relax,
Dad, you don't have to go outside tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
No trip to the outhouse.
That's one of the more unique last calls in Sportists history, right there.
Yeah. Yes,
mine is they talk about the counting numbers in baseball. Well, Ali Marmol just netted his 20th ejection of his career, and that ties him with some fairly interesting names here. Number 1, Hal McRae. Number 2, Danny Murtaugh, who managed the Pirates for what seemed like, 4 or 5 decades?
Pretty much, yeah. Long time.
Here's a good one. Don Zimmer. Ali Marmol is tied with Don Zimmer. And finally, Philly manager Danny Ozark. Now, that puts him at 92nd on the ejection list. Number 1, and I just bring up number 1 because it blew my mind when I saw his total. Bobby Cox. Anyone know his total without looking?
I don't know it, but it's a giant number.
I would bet it's over 1,000.
It is 162, meaning he was ejected for an entire season. How perfect could that number be?
And the thing is, outside that uniform, he's the nicest.
Yes.
Yeah. But they say that he'd start getting on the, you got to give him that corner pitch first inning. He'd be working for his pitcher. And by the way, the active leader is Bruce Bochy with 88. He's 6, and he's only 5 behind Tony La Russa.
Oh, wow.
And Joe Sperlin's fave, Aaron Boone, is currently at 44.
I will say
ejections.
this much. Going back to Bobby Cox, he would have double the amount of ejections right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the tightening of the strike zone in the Smoltz, Glavin, Maddox era.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because, I haven't quoted Luciano's book, but he always talked about how Catfish Hunter would throw a ball just off the outside corner and then a little farther, and he said he'd be leaning in the visiting dugout calling strikes. And then when he'd actually finally call a ball, Catfish would go back to a quarter of an inch off and then just start the process again.
But the thing about Murtaugh and Ozark, that was before replay, before you had some great arguments. And for Ollie to already have tied those guys, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And then there was the famous one with Laz Diaz about you're not going to be around long, neither are you. So,
yes.
Which, let's face it, has Laz Diaz assumed the mantle from Angel Hernandez?
CB Buckner.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he miss 9 calls in an inning?
He. I think that sounds right.
They don't rate him on missed calls. They rate how many calls he got right.
I think so.
That's a lot easier.
And then there was the day where it was insanely hot here in St. Louis. We had like a 115 heat index, and he had to keep going in between innings. And I think he missed 18 that day.
He did not care. He did not care.
And it's not as much the number that he misses, but like you'll see a pitch like, if this is the strikes, he'll miss one that like, how can you not,
Yeah.
Where it's one of those where the catcher starts to throw the ball back and stops. Like,
did I not?
Everybody's walking off the field.
Yeah. Are we watching the same pitch?
We've seen a couple of those, yeah.
Mm-hmm. With that, we have reached the end of this episode of the St. Louis Sportists podcast. We would like to let you know that it would help us out a lot if you would give us a like wherever you get your podcasts, a little rating, maybe a little review, and please follow us on X, Facebook, Blue Sky. We're on the gram, as the kids say. The gram. And our website is stlsportists.com, where you can find every single podcast we have ever done. Doug Lansdowne, thank you, sir. Tom Mathis, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Had fun.
And Keith Farrell.
Happy college football season upon us.
Get after it. And we will catch you next week on the St. Louis Sportists podcast. Until then, take care.
And that wraps another episode of the St. Louis Sportists podcast. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. You can find these guys on all major podcast platforms. And thanks for listening.